Imagine knowing exactly what your students are learning and exactly which steps you need to take next.
Join us in Down with the Reading Quiz to craft meaningful and productive formative assessments that move away from gotcha moments of basic recall and toward assessing what your students actually can do.
In this 30-minute free masterclass, we'll share 3 powerful assessment keys that work for any novel at any time of the year.
Head to shop.bravenewteaching.com/masterclass to sign up, and we'll also send you a free workbook to keep track of all your notes.
Once again, that's shop.bravenewteaching.com/masterclass to nail formative assessments forever.
Well, hello and welcome back to Brave New Teaching, and welcome to a to be read refresh reading update. We love recording these episodes and we know you all love listening to them because you tell us, right, Amanda?
They do. The people have spoken and they said, keep talking about books.
Keep talking about books, you English teacher nerds. And so we said, challenge accepted. We shall. We're ready.
And it was a really difficult decision. How was that for a not joke? I love a good not joke.
When did was it the end of 2022? Was it the end of the year that we gave our we gave our year in review for 2022, what we read and what we want to read in 2023. And so now we're just kind of like, where are we at? What have we read? How do we feel about it? And where are we going next?
Well, and what we kind of accidentally did during those, kind of when we were looking at our book lists, was talk very authentically about our reading life as English teachers, moms, people, and kind of admitting where we stand, I think, because it's an interesting thing to observe readers from afar. There are so many different reading personalities, and I think that's kind of fun to talk about too.
It really is. And I'm the first to be like, oh, I am a total read late into the night. I'm sure I've talked about this many, many times on the podcast. I talk about it all the time. But I too get out of the habit of it. Lately in the past couple of weeks, I have been reading, but I've been falling asleep with a book on me, which never happens to me. I normally have to tell myself, okay, set an alarm. You have to go to bed when the alarm goes off and stop reading. But I've been so stinking tired that I've just been falling asleep. So even within the different types of readers we are, our habits kind of ebb and flow, just depending on where we're at. And that's something that I don't know. It seems like a silly thing to be like, let's shed light on the type of readers we are, but it's totally true.
Well, and
we don't talk about it. Yeah.
We don't. And I admitted in the last couple of episodes, I was like, it's been weird for me. I've always been the English teacher that loves to read, but I read very few books and relatively slowly. I don't push through a 2-star read just to push through it. I just don't. I don't think I even pick it up unless someone is really begging me to read it. I've been really selective, but this episode is all about how I have actually followed through on some of the things that I talked about in that episode, at least for me, and what things have actually looked like in January and February. And so I'm excited to talk about that.
I'm very excited to hear about looking at your list because full disclosure, everybody, we have to list all of them for ourselves on a Google Doc. Otherwise we go on so many tangents that the episode will not have any meaning. And I cannot wait to hear about some of the ones that I knew she was going to be reading and some of the ones that you've got a couple on here that I have just randomly in my bookshelf that I keep going, oh yeah, I have that. And I want to know what you think about them. So I'm excited to hear about it. And my reading took a total 90-degree turn from where I thought I was going to go. All I have done is reread things. All I'm going to be doing is reread things. And I'll explain it in just a moment. Yes. All right. You know what, friends? It's time. Let's cue the music.
You're listening to Brave New Teaching, and we are so much more than a podcast.
We give teachers the inspiration, support, and tools to challenge the status quo.
I'm Amanda, and I'm a former English teacher from Illinois.
And I'm Marie, and I'm a teacher from Southern California.
Join us at bravenewteaching.com to find out more about our courses, festivals, and get every episode's show notes.
We're so glad you're here. Enjoy the show.
All right, everybody, as we start diving into our just been read, to be read lists, updates, refresh, etc., we want to remind you that all of the books we are talking about here can be found. If you want to link to it, we highly encourage you to shop at a local bookstore on bookshop.org. Even we've got our own lists set up on bookshop.org. That stuff is all linked in our show notes. We just want to support small business. It's not that we are saying stop shopping Amazon, because like we get the benefits and the pitfalls to the big corporation. But if we can support a small bookstore and like independent publishers and that kind of thing, why don't we? Right? Right. So that was our quick little disclaimers. Check out our lists on bookshop.org.
Yep, those are going to be right in the show notes. So every episode, I know you're all in the good habit of just going to the show notes, but head there and you can shop each of our lists directly right on there.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, Amanda, I feel like I am more excited to hear about yours than mine.
Okay, but I'm also excited to hear about yours because you've got some of my favorite all-time.
I know, right? I know.
On that list.
Okay, so we'll take turns. Okay, let's start. Let's do like an Amanda Marie Amanda. Like you'll be the bread and I'll be the meat of the sandwich. Does that sound good?
Wow, I'm really honored that I got to be the bread.
You get to be the bread. The carbs are the best part of a sandwich. Carbs and the condiments. So like you're really carrying the show here. Okay.
I mean, I have two really, really important life updates that are reflected in these lists.
100%.
Okay? In this list, my list.
Yes.
So
I mean, same, but like differently.
Yeah, right? Okay. So here are the two big life updates from me that I will reveal through this list. So number one, I got a library card.
You guys, listen.
The library let me come back.
Listen, audience members, if you are new to this show or if you missed the episode in the fall where we were talking about how Amanda is a rebel. She is a rebel without a cause when it comes to free books to borrow from the library. This woman cannot be trusted with a library book, but it sounds as if she has changed her ways. More on that in the 6 o'clock hour. Back to you, Amanda.
Back to me. Okay, a couple things. One, I kind of re-listened to that episode and I thought, that's pathetic, Amanda. Get your act together. And I went to the library with my tail between my legs and profusely apologized, blamed everything on COVID, and begged for forgiveness. I paid my fines and they gave me a fresh new card. Now,
oh my gosh.
The real reason I did this is because we are kind of stepping up our game with my kids' reading situation. They have kind of started to really lean, now they're 5 and 4 and their appetite for books is hungrier for new things and less about like revisiting the classics that we always have in our house. And as much as I love buying picture books, it's also like the genre that I'm the least familiar with. So I feel like it's to spend $17 on a picture book is fine, but I wanted to make sure it's the ones that like we absolutely love now that we're heading into.
They're expensive. Yeah.
Expensive. And like I said, no problem. Like
right.
Worth it, but not on one that like we haven't actually sat and read and talked about, because some of them look so cute on the cover and then you get into the story, you're like, meh. Like, so I'm like, okay, I need to do the library card. If at the very least it's for my children.
Sure.
And I want to spend more time at the library because
a good giving mother you are.
It's also a little selfish. So we have this new preschool schedule where Hugo and I have an hour in between daycare and preschool, and the library is like literally like in between daycare and preschool. And I drove by it every day thinking, you can't go in there, Amanda. You can't go in there. And then I was
they have your picture behind the counter. They'll know.
Right. And then we're doing other things, we're like going to Starbucks or we're going over. And I'm like, well, we also can't do that because that's going to be more than the fines that I owe. So anyway, very long story short, I sucked it up. And the best part has been the picture books. It's been finally being able to use Libby without my Dayton, Ohio library card number. And the one actual physical book that I checked out for myself, I have had a hard time reading. Like I'm annoyed by it sitting there asking to go back where it came from. So I think I'm going to not check out books for myself. I'm just not going to do it because it's still here. I haven't returned it. I don't know when I don't even know when it's due. This is right. So
Right.
I have not actually made progress, like little progress, but not enough. So there's that.
Okay. I'm proud of you though. I'm proud of you. Good job.
Thank you. Life update number 2 that's probably more exciting is that I did join my book club and I did go to book club. I've been to book club twice. I have made adult friends. And I feel like that is already like 2023 New Year's resolution goals, like done. Like I'm so proud of myself and I really have thoroughly enjoyed books and beer at the same time.
Good.
And socializing with other adult women who live nearby me. And
Right.
I've had some play dates and some mom dates already since starting, even though, disappointingly so, 2 of the books on my list are both from book club and were both womp disappointments.
So we're going to talk more about that in a moment. But I want to, before we really dig into books, I want to acknowledge for all of us here, you, me, everybody, that shows that we watched growing up, like Friends, like maybe even when we were a little older, How I Met Your Mother, that show adult friendships as these like easy, breezy, they just happen naturally. They just occur at the coffee shop that you go to in, Central Perk. That is not adult life, right? I mean, maybe it is for some of you listening, but that is not for a large amount of the population. The friendships that occur in childhood are most often because of place and time, right? Like it's where you live, it's where you go to school, it's what you do for a sport or an extracurricular, and then you form bonds. That does not necessarily carry through in adulthood. And so like it takes a lot more maintenance and it's hard to form new friendships when you don't have. So like for Amanda specifically, she doesn't have a school she's going to every day. So like you have friends from your old school, sure, but you don't see them every day. And adult life gets in the way of like a lot of those like happenstance seeing someone every day. Anyways, I just want everyone to know that like what you're doing is a really big deal, even though it might sound so simple and small. That's a big deal. And so I'm hoping that our listeners who might be feeling the same way are like, you know what, if Amanda can do it, I can do it.
Or start one. I mean,
yeah,
it's, I don't know. It's definitely been more about the gathering than about the books. I mean, we're definitely like-minded book nerds, but it's so crazy. Like even in our book club, the interests we have are so vastly different. Like, so let me give my 2 examples of what we've read so far in book club. And then I think we can transition into some of Marie's stories. So we read first, The Monsters of Templeton. And it was like a 3-star read for me, I would say. I don't want to hate on it too much. I feel like it was like the pacing of it for me was a little slow. The characters were interesting. It was definitely more literary than I expected.
Okay.
And there were definitely like passages that I thought would make for beautiful mentor texts. But I just feel like the cohesion, the cohesiveness of it just kind of fell apart for me. I wasn't really captivated by the story. There's a lot of ancestral, like looking into the past and like how are we connected to all these people. Got a little ancestry.com for me.
I was just going to say a little rote. Yeah.
And so like there was intrigue and there were certain sections, like there was a section of letter writing. Like she discovered like a stack of letters and I was like zoom, 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 like zooming through those letters. They were really cool. So it was not something that I would necessarily skip altogether, but I wouldn't put it at the top of your TBR. Mm-hmm. But like our chat was so funny because like the room was totally divided. Most people were like, and some people were like, yeah. And some people were like, burn it. You know, it was really funny. And then we read The Lost Ticket, which is definitely something I would consider in like the romance chick lit arena, which is, I don't know, kind of my worst nightmare. I don't know why I can't just have fun, Marie. I can't just have fun.
My eyebrows just shot to the ceiling because I was like, oh, really?
I just couldn't. And I could feel it when I was reading this book. I was like, oh my God. Oh, seriously. Like, I feel like I'm watching a B-list Netflix movie. And
yeah.
Like I couldn't enjoy myself, which says a lot more about me than it says
about the book.
but it was cute and romantic and it had a happy ending. And I was the only one at book club that was like, yeah, I kind of wish the old guy would have just died. It would have been more realistic, you know?
And then the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes that day. Yeah.
So, moral of the story is, if you would like a sweet, fast read that breaks up the English teacher drama, that's probably a great one. It was
here for it, yes.
and endearing. It was endearing, but I was like, I skimmed.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's kind of like,
and I was like, eh.
But a light read, that's like what they're there for, man.
And I was like, why bother? If it's light, it's not worth it. And I'm like,
I know. You and I are so different. This is also why we can't be in a book club together, because I would be like, here, read this fantasy novel with some pretty adult scenes in it. And you'd be like, why? And I'd be like, I don't understand. I don't understand you.
I tried. I can't. I don't know.
I know. That's okay.
I just don't know why I can't have fun. I need to have fun.
It's okay.
What's
okay, keep going.
In your reading life? No, you go. You go.
Okay. So I had all of these dreams of grandeur of getting into some different memoirs, I was going to look at Mr. Fox, right? Like all of these. And then my teaching assignment changed. And I was like, oh, no, I have to reread everything I teach with sophomores, because it has been since the fall of 2020 that I taught sophomores when I was fully virtual. And I mean, yes, I know these books really well, but enough information goes in that you got to refresh the old part of the Rolodex there. So I reread Fahrenheit. I am rereading. I know I just literally yesterday or 2 days ago finished a unit using Fahrenheit with my sophomores. We are going on a week-long break. And then when we get back from the break, we're going into lit circles, into a choice novel unit, a dystopia choice novel unit. I mean, it's like all the things that you and I love to talk about. But before I reread all of those, I am also knee deep in writing a unit on perspective that uses Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. That is in the last year adopted by my district as a book on our list. And so I'm with my co-teacher and friend. She and I are, well, actually there are a few of us now. We've got a little bandwagon situation. It's going to be great. Writing this unit all about perspective and basically defining and owning one's own perspective before taking in the perspectives of others is really what the unit's about. And we're very excited about it. But as we're talking, and my co-teacher had read it more recently than me, because I think I read it in 2019. I was like, I'm going to need to reread this. So I am in the process right now of rereading that. And then when I'm done with that, literally at time of recording tonight, I'm going to get back into skimming through, but just to refresh so that I can have authentic conversations with my students. I'm going to read the following novels: Unwind, Red Queen, The House of the Scorpion, Uglies, The Gracier, The Maze Runner. Have read them all. And The Hunger Games. That was the one I was missing. Yes. The Hunger Games.
Yeah, add it to the list. There you go.
Yes, because those are their choices. It's a pretty big. Just a couple of weeks ago, you all heard me talking with Jenna Copper about choice novel units. Those of you who are part of Happy Hour, I hope you didn't miss when I was going through my choice unit framework on I think it was our 7th episode of Happy Hour. There's a whole rundown of all of that. That is very much what I'm going to be doing with this list of books. This is my finite list, but it is the largest list that I have because I've done this unit a few times. It's just been a few years since I taught sophomores. So I'm letting myself feel a little bit more comfortable with it again by doing, I will skip whole chapters if I'm being totally transparent about my reading habits here. I will skip whole chapters if they're the ones that I remember really well. And I'll be like, oh, right. That a lot of it is for sequence of events, refreshing in my mind sequence of events. And that's pretty much it. Yeah. And I'm also excited about it. It's like a big old comfort blanket, rereading these novels.
Rereading is nice.
Yeah, when it's something that you really love, Aristotle and Dante is such a comfort food right now for me because it's just, I loved it. And now I'm remembering why I loved it so much. Yes.
And I started that last summer and didn't finish it because not because of Aristotle's fault. I had started too many in the summer. Like I got too ambitious.
Yeah.
And I went another direction, and I need to go back to it because I was loving it when I was in the very beginning.
Right. And and it's one where the two main characters are male and they're high school kids. And like my son is only 9.5, but even still just being the mom of a boy, there is something about it that so speaks to me, and seeing him have big kid feelings that are nowhere near what these characters in their like full-blown adolescence are going through. But there's just something, because like I've never been a teenage boy, so like why do I connect so wholly with this novel? I connect with seeing my students who have been Aristotle and Dante, and I connect with just that there's just so much about it that's so beautiful, and it's like poetically written, and I can't say enough about that book.
It's a series now, right? Are there
it
a couple
is.
others? Yeah.
And I have been told by my friends who have read the second one that I need to be in a less stressed out place of life before I read the second one, because I'm going to be just gutted by how like emotional it is. So I have not read the second one yet.
Oh my word.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, that's where I'm at. I mean, I'm like, it's kind of funny to be like my whole ambition of like all these things I was going to read. I've definitely been baking. I've been making food with the new cookbooks that I was talking about. Absolutely. But like when it comes down to novels, and like my kids have been reading some new stuff, but like, because I think that's what I was talking about in my TBR was like some stuff to read with my own children as well. They've been fickle, and they've like moved on to new things too. So we'll like come back to them, and that's just kind of how it is. Yeah.
Well, there's something very like, I don't know how to say this. When you're in your position of going back into a course that you haven't taught in a while, there is this really nice like proximity you have when you're reading along with the kids. And like, it's special when you're going back to it, because when you're doing it for the first time legitimately, there's a lot of panic involved because you're also lesson planning. You're also doing everything for the first time.
You're just jumping into the void like every day.
Right.
It's
like,
just another jump into the void. Yes.
Well, like you said, like it's like a comfort blanket, right? Going back into these books is about like remembering why they were on that list in the first place. It sets you up to be more intimate in like your ability to have a conversation with kids about that. Like, not that I get lazy when I teach something for the umpteenth time, but I'm not in it word for word like the kids are, or the way that I was when I first started. So there's something really nice about rereading and being in the place that you're in.
It is helping with my presentness. Exactly. Like exactly what you were just saying. I'm not having to go, wait a minute. When did Montag say that? Wait, was that before or after he meets Faber? Right? Like, I'm not like sneaking spark notes at my desk to be like, wait, when did that one happen? Because I'm the worst at remembering sequence of events. Like that's why the way that you and I formatively assess works so well, because then I'm not a big fat liar. Like I don't remember. I couldn't give myself a multiple choice quiz on the reading. So why would I do that to students? And yes, it's I'm 39. I am 20 years plus older than these kids. And that is like I'm finding different new ways to connect with them, because we are not connecting in the way that I used to connect with my students. And so being able to have these authentic conversations is becoming a revamped way to connect with them. Right. So I have to refresh, because if I lean back and like try to lean on my own memory, that's just a recipe for disaster.
Oh, well, I've got a few more books to go through.
Yes.
Are we up for that? Are we ready to go?
I want to hear about your books. Yes.
I've got a few more. Okay. So January was, as the kids would say, a full send month for me in reading. I got very hyped up on the new year. Like, I'm going to read more books, and I did. I got very hungry to read in January. So I was like, voraciously consuming books in January, less so in February, but on the list would be Waypoints by Sam Heughan. So I talked about Clanlands in that episode 130, whatever that one was. The ones that we had read. I love reading about Scotland. I love Outlander. And so why not read Sam Heughan, title characters, memoir of his journey on a hike through Scotland. What's really cool about this memoir, and I'm going to do some work on it, maybe I'll add it to our teaching memoir and biography workshop.
Ooh, that would be cool.
But what I really like about memoir, and I've talked about this before, is there are so many ways to look at structure differently than we look at it in fiction. And so the way Sam, because we're cool like
Sammy boy. Yeah. Got it.
The way he set up the memoir is the journey of his trip is one line, and then broken up on that journey are flashbacks of his life. So like the memoir is kind of catching up with him as he's walking this 100-mile hike in Scotland. And you're kind of getting all these like little pieces of his life. And he's having these, life thoughts as he's alone on a journey by himself. Like it was very cool. The back and forth, it wasn't too much. And I thought, man, this would be something very cool for students to emulate.
Yeah.
Right? It'd be such a cool setup for kids. I don't know how much they care about Sam Heughan and Outlander, but that doesn't really matter. From a structural perspective, it's great. He also writes with humor in a way that's very, very hard to do.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of things that were going off in my head. Like, I didn't read this to be like something I was thinking about for school, but here it goes.
That's where some of the best ones come from, right? Yeah. I mean, it sounds like an amazing study in author's craft.
Yes. And I loved it. And I loved that he talked about just like, being from a rural town and then wanting to become an actor, but like also wanting to like fulfill the what he was supposed to do story, and then kind of kept getting pulled in another direction. So I loved that. It was wonderful. And in a similar vein, I also read We Were Dreamers by Simu Liu. Oh my gosh. So if you've ever seen Kim's Convenience, he's one of the actors.
The show, right? Yeah. Okay.
He's another actor. He's also one of the brand new Marvel superheroes.
Yes.
He's got another like romantic comedy movie coming out on Netflix soon. And I bought this because I was getting ready to work on my essential question pack for the American Dream and wanted to have a couple more like really fresh titles to talk about. There's a lot of classic titles for the American Dream, but I was like, I want to know about this dream.
Yeah.
Because I knew that his story was Canadian and American. So I couldn't stop I listened to this one, same with Waypoints, because I love hearing the author actually telling his story, and I loved it. It was so good. Maria, you could teach this book. I mean, you would, oh my God, it was amazing. I loved him too. Like he did, like the whole like first 7 chapters were the result of his interviews with his parents. So like he has a whole childhood of his parents growing up in China, their experience, like how they came to the US, what they went through in their immigration story. And then his story doesn't even start until like chapter 8. And it goes, oh my gosh, it was very, very well told. Again, lots of humor. I don't know, maybe it's like the male actors in this genre are also
right.
Somehow, like Simu Liu was like actually like also a genius. Like he's super smart, and I mean he plays goofy hot guy characters in a lot of the movies. So I was kind of shocked to hear that he had such academic prowess, and same thing, like he wanted to follow what he was supposed to do as a Chinese immigrant child of Chinese immigrants. And he also was an immigrant himself. He was raised by his grandparents until he was 4. And then his parents brought him over once they were able to do that. So anyway, I love those kinds of stories, and I was not at all disappointed by We Were Dreamers.
That's so cool. Good. Yeah. Okay. Okay. You have on here on your list, The Paris Apartment.
Yeah.
Have you read it?
I'm in it right now.
And it's sitting on my shelf. I got it from my book of the month, but literally like a year ago I got it, and it's just been sitting there. I
feel like it's going to end up being a 3 or 4 star read for me. So
out of 5?
Out of 5.
Okay.
Out of 5.
Out of how many?
Book skills are only out of 5, Marie.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so really liking multiple narrators, always.
Okay.
Like that's always, I'm a huge fan. Loving that. And loving the mystery, the suspense.
Okay.
There's lots of it. It's like a murder mystery. No, I don't even know that yet if it's a murder or not. But there's someone's gone missing. We don't know
Okay.
what's happened to this person, and it reminds me of Only Murders in the Building, because like it's kind of like all the little profiles of everybody who lives in this apartment building and how they may or may not have known something, been involved in the disappearance of this person. I like that it's set in Paris. I love being physically transported somewhere other than here. I'm not sure. The pace is kind of killing me. Like I feel like it's taking a little bit too long to get to the point.
Mhm.
And there are a lot of the phrases. I think I talked about this when we talked about Verity, where it feels kind of forced that we just have to hear this one more detail, or we had to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't do it. So I mean, there's just little nitpicky things for me right now. But I'm generally, it's good. It's really good.
Okay. Like,
But-
is it gonna scare me?
No.
Okay.
No, you're probably not going to want to go like to Paris by yourself in a metro for a while.
Oh, if that's all.
But only if you're involved in some kind of, like, there's something else going on behind the scenes. Like, you're not just going to get attacked.
So
It's
as long
not
as no one
random.
knows about my mafia connections or something.
Right. As long as you're
Yeah.
not already in trouble with the police, you should be okay.
Okay. Specifically the Parisian police.
Correct. Or
okay.
or in the UK.
Oh.
As long as you're clear, you're good. But
Got
I
it.
have to say, though, I don't think it's really very fair to the Paris apartment, because I just finished The Silent Patient. I finished that first.
Okay.
Or right before Paris Apartment, and Silent Patient has been around for a while. I never heard about it until someone at book club recommended it, and I read that in like 24 hours. It's a psychological thriller. I could not stop listening. I was actively ignoring my family, and I had it in my earbuds, and I was like, yeah, not listening to them. And that one was way more the pace and energy
of what you were looking for. Yeah.
So I don't think it's really fair that they were back to back. I feel like if I read Paris Apartments with more space, it would have been a little bit more. But definitely read it. No, it's good. It's good.
Okay. I honestly, and this is going to be so telling about me, I have picked it up many times. I've brought it with me on like weekend trips and not read it because I've been like, I'm going to be too scared. Because it says it's a thriller.
No, I don't think so. It's more, I would consider it more mystery than thriller.
I can't hang, man.
It's a lot of characters, which is, again, I like that. So I think that mixes things up enough. There is one scene where she wakes up at night and she hears someone in her apartment that kind of had me tingling. I think just like the thought of that, but it was a scene.
Okay. To read at noon.
Correct.
Okay.
My only other updates are I finished Furia, which was incredible. It's a YA book, completely separate from the rest of this list, about a little girl, a young woman growing up in Argentina. This book was like basically written about not my life, but like everything that I like. I love soccer. I used to live in Argentina, and I know a lot about this culture, and it was really sweet, like a little young romance, but also like a feminist, like battle cry for women. I mean, it was really, really good YA. I would put that in kid hands immediately.
Okay.
It was amazing. It was really, really strong. It's also even girls and boys. It was soccer heavy. I mean, if you have kids who like soccer, football, it was great.
Football?
It was absolutely delightful. And then I had a couple updates to my TBR recommendations. So I want to pass along some of the recs that came from book club and just other chit chatter around the internets. I don't know if do you have any TBR updates, or are you just gonna, like, you didn't do anything on your TBR, so you're just gonna
mine rests. I rest my case on TBR because I'm just doing a full pause. I'm gonna reread. And that, like, Amanda and I were talking, listeners, before we started recording. I was like, in my head, I was about to be like, these are all things I'm about to read. But that would have been a lie because I am just rereading. And let's be honest, that's where it's at. That's just how it happened. And I'm actually fully enjoying it. Like, I don't feel like I'm wasting my time. I love it.
That's good.
But I am so intrigued by your little TBR list here.
So the two book club recs that came and I'm passing along were two of them. One of them is a book club rec. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires.
That sounds right up my alley.
It looks like it's going to be kind of like, but like a kind of a parody / mystery. I don't know. It looks like a little bit of everything. And book club girls said yes. Like after I revealed that I wanted everything to be depressing and terrible, and I don't like light fun books, they said this was a really good one. So it's called The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. Okay. I don't know anything else about it. Second one is Ruta Sepetys. I needed to add more of her to my list. So I put on I Must Betray You. I was coaching a teacher, and I said, we were working on a unit and she's looking for a book for it. And I was like, you know what? I just read the description for this and I think it would be perfect fit. So I am going to read that so that I can coach her on it in a couple of weeks. So I Must Betray You is another Ruta Sepetys. It's a mystery, all based around like this, not spoken word, but like the written word. It looks incredible. I mean, I don't need to say anything else because it's our girl, Ruta.
Yeah. I had a number of students read Salt to the Sea of my senior class. And then I was like, hey, by the way,
there's more.
First of all, she's amazing. They were so excited that they were ignoring me during class so that they could keep reading. And I was like, this is the best kind of problem.
Yes, I definitely needed to add one more. And I thought that this was a good one to add. So that's on there. And then one more that came to me through an Instagram recommendation. I'm working on another unit coming up, a novels in verse lit circle book club unit. This is something I've been playing with for a long time.
You've been talking about that for a long time. You've gotten me thinking about that for a long time. Okay.
I feel like I don't have enough books for the list. So I wanted to put one more on it. This one's another one that just came out recently. I think We Are All So Good at Smiling. It's short. Well, I'm looking at on my phone right now. I have the audio ready to go. It's going to come very, very soon. Amber McBride is the author. And the audiobook's only 4 hours. But I mean, it's probably because it's a novel in verse, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They go really quickly. It says that they both die at the end meets the bell jar in this haunting, beautiful young adult novel in verse about clinical depression and healing from trauma. So, hey.
Okay. Yeah, it came out January 10th this year.
Okay. I was going to say, I think it's like brand new. Okay. So that one's in my Libby. And then the last one is another memoir that Oprah keeps talking about. And it's Viola Davis's memoir, Violetta.
Yes.
It keeps coming up. And I do love Viola Davis. Oh, my word. I love her work. And I don't think it really registered that was her memoir. And it was like the hype is real. So I'm throwing that one on the TBR as well.
Okay. Oh, I'm excited. I cannot wait to hear what you think of this novel in verse, first of all, because I am scoping it out right now on Amazon, and it looks amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's nice to have the novel in verse. I take a lot of recommendations, but I haven't read a ton of them. I feel like they were not really interested. My kids weren't really interested in them for a while. And then I kind of fell out of it. And I'm like, but poetry is my favorite thing. So what am I doing?
I was just going to say, that's like right up your alley. So I feel like,
I want to have a really good master list of recommendations.
I know. Yes. I know. You do. Yeah. Because you'll find a few, right? And then it's like, and it's all long way down and clap when you land. Yeah. Which is, I mean, they're still amazing in their own right, but you want to make sure you've got more varied selections for the varied interests that we have. If you're going to give kids choice, give them a bunch of choice, right? If you're going to do it right. So.
Yes, I definitely feel stale in my same favorite 6 or 7. And so I'm busting out of that.
Yay. Well, I'm excited. Woo. We will have to do another update in the near future, like early summer, late spring, something like that.
And we would love to hear from you. We have a feature on our website. Not a lot of people use it, but if you go to our website, you can leave us a voicemail at any time. It's literally linked there. If you have a book rec or a book experience you want to share with us, leave us a voicemail. We'll play it on the podcast.
We should start doing that. We should start doing Brave New Teaching book recs from our listeners. Okay, friends, you heard it here first. Start leaving us a voicemail so that we can spread the joy of reading.
Yeah, we can sprinkle them at the end of episodes throughout the season.
Okay.
We would love to hear, especially if you can talk about I don't know, if you like the way that we're philosophically approaching these lists, whether they're like, helping us grow as people, or they're helping our classroom libraries become more dynamic, like what the book helped you do is academic or personal, doesn't matter. Like, I don't care, but I think that'd be really cool to hear.
I think that sounds awesome. All right.
Yeah.
New initiative. Here it goes. Friends, as you are gathering your lists again, make sure that you check out our list of books through the show notes linked in this episode. Head to bookshop.org and support independent bookstores in your area or nationally. And yeah, we can't wait to hear how you like some of these books or even the things that you are reading on your own. Thank you for joining us. Right. We will see you next time. And if you are a member of Happy Hour, we will see you even sooner.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Thank you for joining us. All right, everybody. Have a great week at school. Bye.
Bye. Thanks again for listening to Brave New Teaching.
We'd love to keep the conversation going over on Instagram.
And while you're there, check out the links in our bio for the most up-to-date events going on in the Brave New Teaching community.
Thanks for being here and have a great week at school.